A middle school or junior high school is a school for students older than elementary school, but not yet in high school. The ages covered varies between, and sometimes within, countries. It is from grade 6 to 10 Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, middle school consists of 6, 7 and 8 grade. Algeria. In Algeria, a middle school includes grades 6 through 10, consisting of students from ages 10 or 11 to 15. Australia. Most regions of Australia do not have middle schools, as students go directly from primary school to secondary school, as an alternate to the middle school model. Some secondary schools divided their grades into junior high school and senior high school in 1996 and 1997. A national conference met to develop what became known as the National Middle Schooling Project, which aimed to develop a common Australian view of early adolescent needs, guiding principles for educators, appropriate strategies to foster positive adolescent learning. The first middle school established in Australia was the Armadale School, in Armadale. Schools have since followed this trend, such as the King's School. The Northern Territory has introduced a three-tier system featuring middle schools for years 7 to 9 and high school year 10 to 12. Many schools across Queensland have introduced a middle school tier within their schools. The middle schools cover the grades, years 5 to 8. On the Gold Coast, Upper Coomera State College has 3 sub-schools: junior school, middle school and senior school. Brazil. Canada. In Canada, the terms middle school and junior high school are both used, depending on which grades the school caters to. Junior high schools tend to only include grades 7, 8, and 9, whereas middle schools are usually grades 6 to 8 or only grades 7 and 8. Varying from area to area and also according to population versus building capacity. Another common model is grades 5 to 8. Alberta, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island junior high schools include only grades 7 to 9, with the first year of high school traditionally being grade 10. In some places, students go from elementary school to secondary school. Quebec uses a grade system that is different from those of the other provinces. The secondary level has 5 grades, starting after elementary grade 6. These are called Secondary I to Secondary V. People's Republic of China. In the People's Republic of China, middle school has 2 stages, junior stage and senior stage. The junior stage education is the last 3 years of 9-year compulsory education for all young citizens, while the senior stage education is optional, but considered as a critical preparation for college education. Some middle schools have both stages while some have either of them. The admissions for most students to enroll in senior middle schools from junior stage are on the basis of the scores that they get in senior middle school entrance exam, which are held by local governments. Other students may avoid the exam, based on their distinctive talents, like athletics, or excellent daily performance in junior stage. Czech Republic. In the Czech Republic, after completing the 9-year elementary school, a student may apply for high school. Students have the opportunity to enroll in high school from grade 5 or grade 7 of elementary school, spending 8 or 6 years respectively at high school that otherwise takes 4 years. Thus they can spend 5 years in elementary school, followed by 8 in high school. The first 4 years of 8-year study program at high school are comparable with junior high school. Gymnasium focuses on a more advanced academic approach to education. All other types of high schools except gymnasiums and conservatories accept only students that finished grade 9. Egypt. In Egypt, middle school precedes high school. It is called the preparatory stage and consists of 3 phases. First, preparatory, in which students study more subjects than primary with different branches. For instance, algebra and geometry are taught instead of mathematics. In the second preparatory phase, students study science, geography, The history of Egypt, starting with Pharaonic history, including Coptic history, Islamic history, and concluding with modern history. The students are taught two languages, Arabic and English. Middle school lasts for 3 years. France. In France, the equivalent period to middle school is college, which lasts 4 years from the sixima to the troisima, accommodating pupils aged between 11 and 15. Upon completion of the latter, students are awarded a brevet des colleges if they obtain a certain amount of points on a series of tests in various subjects and oral examinations. They can then enter high school, which lasts 3 years from the seconda to the terminal until the baccalaureate, and during which they can choose a general or a professional field of study. Gibraltar. The schools were opened in 1972 where the government introduced comprehensive education in the country. India. CBSE classifies middle school as a combination of lower and upper primary. There are other central boards, councils such as a CISE. Each state has its own state board. Each has its own standards, which might be different from the central boards. In some institutions, providing education for 5th to 10th are known as secondary school. Indonesia. In Indonesia, middle school covers ages 12 to 15 or class 7 to class 9, although compulsory education ends at junior high. Most pursue higher education. There are around 22,000 middle schools in Indonesia with a balanced ownership between public and private sector. Iran calls middle school secondary school, which caters to children between the ages 13 and 16, i.e., 7th, 8th and 9th grade. Israel. In Israel, middle school covers ages 12 to 15, from the 7th grade to the 9th. Japan. Junior high schools serve ages 12 through 15. Italy. In Italy, the equivalent is the Scuola Secondaria di Primo Grado, formerly and commonly called middle-lower school, often shortened to middle school. When the Scuola Secondaria di Secondo Grado, the equivalent of high school, was formerly called middle higher school, commonly called superiora. The middle school lasts 3 years from the student age of 11 to age 14. Since 2009, after Gelmini reform, the middle school was renamed Scuola Secondaria di Primo Grado. Lebanon. In Lebanon, middle school or intermediate school consists of grades 7, 8, and 9. At the end of 9th grade, the student is given the national diploma examination. Malaysia. In Malaysia, preschools are meant for children from 5 to 6 years old. 7 to 12-year-old kids attend primary school, elementary school from Standard 1 to Standard 6. There are 3 types of schooling depending on the child's spoken language: Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil. 13 to 17-year-old students study in secondary school, high school. These schools are numbered from Form 1 to Form 5. There is also an optional Form 6. This is divided into Lower Form 6 and Upper Form 6. Students may choose to study other equivalent courses instead of taking Form 6 classes. Form 1 to 3 students are called lower secondary students and Form 4 to 6 are called upper secondary students. There are 3 major exams. 1. Standard 6. 5 subjects for Malay schools and 7 subjects for Chinese and Tamil schools. 2. Form 3. 7 subjects for non-Muslim students and 8 subjects for Muslim students, and 3. Form 5. O-level equivalent subjects varying, according to the elective and extra subjects chosen by the students. Mexico. In Mexico, the middle school system is called secundaria and usually comprises 3 years, grades 7 to 9. It is completed after primaria and before preparatoria, bachillerato. New Zealand. In New Zealand, middle schools are known as intermediate schools. They generally cover years 7 and 8. Students are generally aged between 10 and 13. There are full primary schools which also contain years 7 and 8 with students continuing to high school at year 9. Some high schools also include years 7 and 8. In the last decade there has been an increased interest in middle schooling, with at least 7 schools offering education to this age group opening around the country in Auckland, Cambridge, Hamilton, Christchurch and Upper Hutt, Pakistan. In Pakistan, the middle school is a combination of lower and upper primary. In some institutions, providing education for 5th to 10th are known as secondary school. Poland. Middle school in Poland, called gimnazjum, was first introduced in 1932. The education was intended for pupils of at least 12 years of age and lasted 4 years. Middle schools were part of the educational system until the reform of 1947, except during World War II. The middle schools were reinstated in Poland in 1999, now lasting 3 years after 6 years of primary school. Pupils entering gimnazjum are usually 13 years old. Middle school is compulsory for all students, and it is also the final stage of mandatory education. In the final year, students take a standardized test to evaluate their academic skills. Higher scorers in the test are allowed first pick of school if they want to continue their education, which is encouraged. Portugal. In Portugal, the middle school is known as second and third cycles of basic education. It comprises the 5th till 9th year of compulsory education for children between 10 and 15 years old. After the education reform of 1986, the former preparatory school or liceu became part of basic education. Basic education now includes first cycle, former primary education, first year, second year, third year, fourth year. Second cycle, former preparatory education, fifth year, sixth year. Third cycle, former preparatory education, seventh year, eighth year, ninth year. Romania. Middle school in Romania, or gymnasium, includes grades 5 to 8. At the end of the 8th grade, students take an written exam that counts for 75% of the average needed to enroll in high school. Also, because of a new law, you cannot finish middle school and attend high school if you receive a lower grade than 5 in the exams. Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, middle school includes grades 7 through 9, consisting of students from ages 12 to 15. Singapore. In Singapore, middle school is usually referred to as secondary school. Students start secondary school after completing primary school at the age of 13, and to 16 or 17 courses. Students from the Special and Express courses take the GCE levels after 4 years at the end of secondary education, and students from the normal courses additionally take the GCE level examinations after 4 years, before their O levels. After completing secondary school, students move on to pre-tertiary education. Somalia. In Somalia, middle school, identified as intermediate school, is the 4 years between secondary school and primary school. Pupils start middle school from form as referred to in Somalia, or year 5, and finish it at year 8. Students start middle school from the age of 11 and finish it when they are 14-15. Subjects which middle school pupils take are Somali, Arabic, English, religion, science, geography, history, maths, textiles, art and design, physical education and sometimes music. In some middle schools, it is obligatory to study Italian. South Korea. In South Korea, a middle school is called a younghago, which includes grades 7 through 9. Taiwan. Junior high schools in the Republic of China were originally called primary middle school. Private middle school nowadays are still called primary middle school. Taiwanese students older than 12 normally attend junior high school. Accompanied with the switch from junior high to middle school was the cancellation of entrance examination needed to enter middle school. Tunisia and Morocco. In Tunisia and Morocco, a middle school includes grades 7 through 9, consisting of students from ages 12 to 15. Countries of the former Yugoslavia. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia, Slovenia, Republic of Macedonia, the countries of former Yugoslavia. Srednja škola, literally, middle school, refers to educational institutions for ages between 14 and 18, and lasts 3 to 4 years, following elementary school. Gymnasiums are the most prestigious type of middle school in these countries. The final 4 years of elementary school are actually what would be called junior high school in the USA. Students have up to 12 to 15 different subjects in each school year. For example, 7th and 8th grade students do not have one subject called science but 3 separate subjects called chemistry, physics and biology. United Kingdom, England. In England, local education authorities introduced middle schools in the 1960s and 1970s. The notion of middle schools was mooted by the Plowden Report of 1967, which proposed a change to a 3-tier model including first schools for children aged between 4 and 7, middle schools for 7 to 11-year-olds, and then upper or high schools for 11 to 16-year-olds. Some authorities introduced middle schools for ideological reasons, in line with the report, while others did so for more pragmatic reasons relating to the raising of the school-leaving age in compulsory education to 16, or to introduce a comprehensive system. Different authorities introduced different age-range schools, although in the main, 3 models were used: 4 to 6 first schools, followed by 7 to 11 middle schools, as suggested by Plowden; 5 to 9 first schools, followed by 9 to 13 middle schools; 5 to 10 first schools, followed by 10 to 13 middle schools, or intermediate schools. In many areas, primary school rather than first school was used to denote the first tier. In addition, some schools were provided as combined schools catering for pupils in the 5 to 12 age range as a combined first and middle school. Around 2000 middle and combined schools were in place in the early 1980s. However, that number began to fall in the later 1980s with the introduction of the national curriculum. The new curriculum's splits in key stages at age 11 encouraged the majority of local education authorities to return to a 2-tier system of primary and secondary schools. There are now fewer than 200 middle schools still operational in the United Kingdom, meaning that approximately 90% of middle schools have closed or reverted to primary school status since 1980. The system of 8 to 12 middle schools has fallen into almost complete disuse. Under current legislation, all middle schools must be deemed either primary or secondary. Thus, schools which have more primary year groups than KS3 or KS4 are termed deemed primaries or middles deemed primaries, while those with more secondary-aged pupils, or with pupils in Y11 are termed deemed secondaries or middles deemed secondaries. For statistical purposes, such schools are often included under primary and secondary categories, as deemed. Notably, most schools also follow teaching patterns in line with their deemed status, with most deemed primary schools offering a primary-style curriculum taught by one class teacher, and most deemed secondary schools adopting a more specialist-centered approach. Legally, all through schools are also considered middle schools, although they are rarely referred to as such. Some middle schools still exist in various areas of England. They are supported by the National Middle Schools Forum. A list of middle schools in England is available. Scotland. In Scotland, a similar system to the English one was trialled in Grangemouth Middle Schools, Falkirk, between 1975 and 1987. The label of junior high school is used for some through schools in Orkney and Shetland which cater for pupils from 5 up to the age of 14, at which point they transfer to a nearby secondary school. Northern Ireland. In Northern Ireland, in the Craigavon Borough Council area in County Armagh, the Dixon Plan operates, whereby pupils attend a primary school from ages 4 to 10, a junior high school from 11 to 14, and a senior high school or grammar school from 14 to 19. This is not dissimilar to the middle school system.